So today we have VESUVIATE. VESUVIATE actually featured one of their watches here on my channel once before. That was an integrated bracelet watch. This is sort of the same, however, a little bit different. It still gets all of the same sort of specs that watch got. So you're getting a screwed-in crown, you're getting 200 meters of water resistance. This gets a Miyota 9039 that you can see from the back. They do something special with it as well. I'll show you that in just a few minutes. They make very interesting watches that aren't your typical design. So they're going to be polarizing, obviously, because they're not your typical round watch with a sort of Rolex theme or an Omega theme, something like that. But I think they do a pretty good job, and the finishing on their watches are very good. So the finishing on this watch is very good, and it's an interesting case. As I mentioned, you can see it's sort of a thin case as well for a 200 meter watch with a display case back. Like I said, I'll show you that in just a second. You get a very large crown on it as well. But you can see there is polishing. It's sort of a stepped case. So you have a step at that lug, and then you have a little bit of a crown guard there. I guess you would call this a sports watch, right? Because it does have 200 meters of water resistance. You have that same step on this side as well, polished on the sides. And then you have brushing on the top of the case, which usually you see it the other way around, and then you have a polished bezel. You get a slightly domed sapphire crystal with AR coating, and as I said, you can see it's pretty thin. And I'm going to do a measurement really quickly because I am pretty sure this is a thin watch. There you go, 11.3 millimeters. That's including the domed sapphire crystal, and it is slightly domed, so it's adding a little bit of thickness to this. That's really good considering the depth rating. And then 6.8 millimeter crown. So it is a large crown. I think it's around a 41 or a 40 millimeter watch, somewhere in that neighborhood, not including the crown guards. So just about 41 millimeters. But the lug to lug is actually very, very tight on this watch. You can see the lug to lug is 46.8. Even on the bracelet with sort of a male end link. It's not really entirely a male end link because it turns down very abruptly, but you get about a 50 millimeter lug span even with the bracelet. I mean, it's not the smallest lug span, but considering it's sort of an integrated bracelet watch, a very interesting design cue of this watch is the end link, which is not really common for a watch to be very interesting, but here it is because it's sort of molded to the case. So you can see it's molded to the case, molded to the lugs, and then the center portion, which is polished throughout the bracelet's an oyster style bracelet, really turns down a lot. So it wears actually very comfortably on your wrist. So you don't get a very large lug span or feeling of a large lug span. And I'll show you on my wrist, as I mentioned. And it does wear very snug to the wrist. So it actually looks thinner than it is, and it's already a very thin watch. So you get a very nice bracelet on here. The bracelet is, as I mentioned, a oyster style bracelet. It's polished down the middle. You know, I'm not always in love with that, but I think it goes with the case because you do have some polishing on the case. The crown is polished and signed. The sides of the watch are polished, and then of course that bezel is polished. So there is a good mixture of polish, so it does make sense. And then you get big screwed links in here. They said they're going to change the buckle on this. So the buckle on here is sort of a traditional, everyday micro brand buckle. But they said they're actually going to change this with one that has on-the-fly micro adjust. So that is obviously a very welcome addition. I don't know how they're going to actually do that. I think there are like 3 in the micro brand sphere that are being used right now. If it's one of those 3, it's really, they're all very, very good. So hopefully they use one of those 3. If it's something new, that'd be awesome also. But I would imagine it's going to be one of those 3 that are being used. And those are really nice, and I really do appreciate them. This is actually a really beautiful dial on this watch. You have sort of a silver minute track that has obviously the minutes printed on the track there. It's a very sort of steeply set minute track on that rehaut, and then you have a blue dial. There's a few different colors, and there is a pattern that's radiating out of the center of the dial. Just the VESUVIATE logo there at the 12 o'clock or right below the 12 o'clock index, and it just says the name of the brand. Each one of the indices have a little dot. those are applied and they are sort of a silver tone, so they're metallic. And the 12 o'clock has 2, so that gives you a little bit of an orientation. Down below at the 6 o'clock or above the 6 o'clock, it just says that it's automatic, 200 meters of water resistance, and then it gives you the name of the watch, which is Viaggio. And then the hands themselves are sort of like sword hands a little bit. And those are filled with Lume, and then of course the indices, those are printed, so the numbers are actually printed, and those are filled with Lume. So very quickly, let me throw it on my wrist, then we'll talk about price, and then we will do a Lume shot because there is Lume on here. I'm not sure if the Lume is good. This is a prototype, so let's see, and we'll check it out. Last time I think they improved the Lume as well. When I did a review of their last watch, but we'll check that out in just a second. Really quickly, before we do, I have on my wrist today my Chopard. This is a watch that I actually sold, and I just wanted to sort of memorialize it in a video as a wrist check before it goes on its way. I will miss this watch. You know, I sell watches from time to time to fund other watches, and this week I got a call from, well, not an email, from Mad Studios, or I think it's called Mad Studios, for the Mad Edition 1, the Mad 1 in red, and so I sold that watch to, you know, sort of fund that watch, so I had to do that. There you go. Here it is on my 7.5-inch wrist. This is a 41 millimeter watch, essentially a 41 millimeter watch, but you could see how thin it actually wears on my 7.5-inch wrist. Really snug against the wrist. The lug to lug, it's 50 millimeters, but it really is, it turns down very, very, very abruptly on the bracelet. So it actually does not bother my wrist, of course, and I think it would actually wear pretty well on smaller wrists as well. This would look really good on a strap, I think, as well. With the very short lugs, it would look really good. Very cool design. When I first saw it, I was kind of on the fence about it, and then it really grew on me. And I eventually was like kind of smitten by it. At first glance, I didn't like it, I have to be honest. And then when I saw it in person and I started like handling it and feeling the quality behind it, I actually started really liking this watch. It's good looking. Anyway, really quickly, the price on here is, I believe they're starting us at $358. Which is a good price for a 200 meter, you know, not dive watch, but sport watch with a Miyota 9000 series. And I actually promised to show you guys the back of the Miyota, back of the watch here so you can see the Miyota. They actually put a film on the rear crystal. I believe it is a sapphire crystal on the rear as well. And it's sort of a reflective coating on the glass. And it's really interesting. It's going to be really hard for me to get this on film, but I will do my best. Obviously, when I'm moving it around in my studio lights, you see a little bit of that glint in the light. It's really interesting that they did that. I've seen other brands do it, but it looks good on here. Kind of thinking in the last watch they used the gilt version of the 9039 or 9015, whichever one you were getting, which is pretty cool as well. So, very quickly, a Lume shot, and then we'll wrap up the video. So there you go, a decent amount of Lume, very liberally applied on the hands and the indices. It looks good. It actually reflects a little bit on that chapter ring, which is in a silver color, but there's a little surprise here. The crown is lumed, that's nice, and it has that logo there. It is lumed. I couldn't even tell it was lumed, I didn't know. But once I put the black light on, it shows that it is lumed. So really nice touches here. I think this is a really cool watch. And like I said, the design sort of grew on me over time. I wasn't really taken with it when I first saw it. Now I really do like it. And it's really nicely made. They've done a really good job. And the guy who owns this brand is really nice. He sort of reminds me of Elshan from Zelos. Very responsive guy, really involved with the brand, really cares about the feedback that he gets and is incorporating it into his watches. That's really important. This is a beautiful textured dial as well. I'll do close-ups of all that so you guys can see it. Very cool watch. I really do like this, and I am impressed with the brand as they progress. And honestly, the first offering that they had was a very good watch. This is a really nice watch as well. But tell me what you guys think in the comments down below. What do you think of this design? I think it is polarizing. Like I said, it did grow on me. Tell me what you guys think in the comments down below. Please also don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that bell icon. It is super helpful for the channel. I very much appreciate it. Please also follow me on Instagram. My Instagram is WatchChrisBlog, all one word. I have some links in the description. Those links are to Amazon. If you click those links and buy anything, it helps support the channel. It doesn't cost you anything extra. However, I very much appreciate it. Anyway, thank you for logging on. I'll catch you guys in the next video.